Good day. I hope you're all doing well. I'm Franky, and this is the Think Tank. So, today I would like to go through the press release that comes from Richard Allen's team. It's interesting. I haven't gone through it much. I wanted to go through it with you guys. So, this is what we're looking at. This just came out the other day, and I didn't get a chance to look at it. So how about we do this? Let's get her done. It's okay. It says, as Rick Allen's attorney, we have received multiple requests from local national media for interviews and comments. Since the unsealing of the probable cause affidavit, it would be virtually impossible to comply with these requests and continue to focus on the merits of Rick's defense. Therefore, we offer up these thoughts. So these are the thoughts of Richard's team, and take it for what you want. We do not want to try this case in the media, and we intend to adhere to the Indiana rules of professional conduct that provide guidance on pre-trial publicity. So with that said, we don't want what happened with the Derek Lasik case to happen to this case. We do not need those YouTubers interfering. They need to do what they have to do here. So, however, the police and prosecutor's office have conducted many press conferences over the 5+ years of this investigation and follow our client's arrest. On the other hand, Rick's ability to assert his innocence has been reduced to only one short post-hearing press conference. Accordingly, we feel it appropriate, necessary, and with the bounds of our rules and professional conduct to make a few comments concerning the probable cause affidavit. So what do you think about that? I'm very curious. It looks like they are kind of poo-pooing what the law enforcement has been saying. Rick is a 50-year-old man who has never been arrested nor accused of any crime in his entire life. His innocence and completely confused as to why he has been charged with these crimes. Okay, well, maybe if we've got some time, we'll go over the probable cause, because that does explain a lot of what they're trying to detract from, in my opinion. The police did not contact Rick after Libby German and Abby Williams went missing. Rather, Rick contacted the police and voluntarily discussed being on the trail that day. Like many people in Delphi, Rick wanted to help any way he could. Rick contacted to let them know that he walked the trail that day, as he often did. Rick, without coming forward, the police probably would never had any way of knowing that he was on the trail that day. Again, my opinion is, I don't know if the information had come out yet that it was recorded, but if so, there's many things that prove that he was on that trail that day. So I'm not quite sure what they're trying to do here. If they're trying to force law enforcement's hand, I'm not so sure they'll be able to do it, because in my opinion, from what I've seen with these particular cops, they have kept everything close to the vest, and they've had a lot of information that we have not known. So to me, it's probably what they put in the probable cause was enough for the probable cause. I don't think that they gave away everything that they know. I've never known them to do that. And I followed this story from the beginning. Rick volunteered to meet with a conservation officer outside the local grocery store to offer up details of his trip to the trail on the day in question. Rick tried to assist the other investigation and told the police that he did recall seeing 3 younger girls on the trail that day. His contact with the girls was brief, and of little significance. Rick does not recall if this interaction with a conservation officer was tape recorded, but believes that the conservation officer scribbled notes on his notepad as Rick spoke to him. So, devil's advocate here, he was placed there. Those three girls basically described Rick. So, for them to say that he was there, I mean, they've got to come up with something as to why people are saying he was there. I mean, these people recognized him. After Rick shared his information with law enforcement officials, he went back to his job at the local CVS and didn't hear from the police for more than 5 years. And my take on that, you can give me all your opinions in the down below. I'd really love to know your take, and maybe we'll talk a little bit after we go through this and get some different takes on how everyone's feeling about this. Think tank time is the best time because we all get to share information. So the next time Rick heard from the police was October of 2022. This was approximately 2 weeks before the contested sheriff's election and within days of a federal lawsuit filed against the Carroll County Sheriff's Office by its former second-in-command, Michael Thomas. In the lawsuit, Thomas says he made suggestions and offered assistance to the investigation of a high-profile child homicide investigation, but those suggestions and offers were rejected by the sheriff. Thomas further claimed that the sheriff and others in the department feared the disagreements with Thomas would become publicized as a result of a political campaign for the sheriff. So this guy, I find it very interesting with him as well, because he was saying he didn't think that it would ever be solved. And the funny thing is it was solved 2 days later. Sorry, I think that'll stop. So again, he was saying that his suggestions and offers were rejected by the sheriff. But you know what? Again, in my opinion, the sheriff might have known a little bit better what was going on with this guy. As I said, everyone has really been keeping this close to the vest. So Thomas claims in the suit that he was ultimately demoted and replaced by Tony Liggett, who later that year won the 2022 election for sheriff. Furthermore, Thomas claims he was ultimately removed from the high-profile cases. I don't think this has anything to do with this case. I think this guy is pissy with his bosses and believes he deserved more. So it's a separate thing. I don't think it should affect this case because this guy's just basically complaining about his employers. In the 5+ years since Rick volunteered to provide information to the police, Rick did not get rid of his vehicle or his guns, and he did not throw away his clothing. And there is that Carhartt jacket that he still has. Boots as well, is what I've heard. He did not alter his appearance. He did not relocate himself to another community. He did what an innocent man would do and continued on with his normal routine, which is also what a criminal would do if he wanted to hide in plain sight. The probable cause affidavit seems to suggest that a single magic bullet is proof of Rick's guilt. It is a bit premature to engage in any detailed discussions regarding the veracity of this evidence until more discovery is received. So that bullet, it does have striation marks that match Rick's gun. So in any detailed discussion regarding the veracity of the evidence until more discovery is revealed. But it's safe to say that the discipline of tool mark identifications, the ballistics, now he's saying is anything but science. The entire unreliable and lacking of evidence scientifically valid. I disagree. We anticipate a vigorous legal and factual challenge in any claims by the prosecution as to the reliability of its conclusion concerning the single magic bullet. Well, why would he call it a magic bullet? That's horrifying. It was laying between two dead girls with striation marks that matched his gun, was the caliber of his gun. And do they actually keep, I don't know, what are they called? Trophies? Absolutely. So how do we know that his jacket, his gun, all this stuff are not his trophies? On Rick's behalf, we argue to have the PCA unsealed, and it has been. Rick has nothing to hide. As importantly, we are hoping that we would receive tips that would assist us in proving his innocence. Not surprisingly, we have been inundated with tips from a variety of sources, all of which will be vetted by our team. Although it is a burden to the prosecutor to prove Rick's guilt beyond a reasonable doubt, the defense team looks forward to conducting its own investigation concerning Rick's innocence. We appreciate those of us reached out to support this cause. Well, I wish them lots of luck. I do. And I know I'm biased. I've followed this case, like I said, since the very, very beginning. And this is the first time I've seen a fit. Keegan was sketchy. Tony, I'm not convinced Tony's out of this. That's my opinion. I'm not so sure Tony is out of this. I think there's a really good possibility that when Rick supposedly ordered the girls down the hill, it would not surprise me if there was somebody else at the bottom of that hill. So could it be Tony Klein? It very well could have. He sounds very similar to the description of a graying, kind of short, brown hair, graying, all black clothing. They didn't describe Keegan, but I tell you what, it kind of matches up with his papa. The prosecutors mentioned at the last hearing his belief that others may have been involved in the killing, yet there was no such mention in the PCA about a second suspect involving in the killing. No, they're giving what they need to give, and that's it. The defense is confused by such discrepancies in the investigation and will be in a better position to respond as more discovery is received. So I'm sure I mentioned this. I have not read this. Like I said, I wanted to read it with you. So some of this is just a little bit, I'm giving my reactions on it. Rick Allen owned a Ford Focus in February of 2017. His Ford Focus is not in any way similar to the distinctive look of the PT Cruiser or smart car that was described by the witnesses. It seems that the CCSD is trying to bend facts into their fit narrative. Well, with that said, Rick Allen admitted that's where he parked his car. So there you go. At this point in time, we have received very limited information about the case and look forward to having something more to view than which was offered up in the sparse PCA. Moving forward, it is our intent to scrutinize the discovery as it is received and give the necessary attention to the volumes of tips that we are receiving. To the extent we inform the public, so long as we are not prohibited from doing so as a result of the recent request by the prosecutor for a gag order or the Indiana rules of professional conduct. Brad Rossi, Hillis, Rossi, and Dean. Attorneys for Rick Baldwin, Andrew J. Baldwin, Baldwin Perry, and Commish PC. So in my opinion, I don't see these guys as lawyers that have been given to them by the government. They seem to me like they are on the private side of things. Let's see here. Hey, Shauna. Hi, Slingin'. Jessica, good morning. So what are you guys thinking about this? Absolutely. The media called it unsealed. Now, I do have that paperwork. The girls said gun. Yes, they absolutely did. And that gun comment actually came out quite some time ago in an interview with Abby's mother. It was her that said that it was Abby. He said something. She said something like, "He's right behind me, isn't he?" And then she said, he's got a gun. So that is what I've heard. I can't say 1,000%, but it did come from a pretty reliable spot. I think it's separate. Do you? Yeah. Yeah. There were extraction marks. Yeah, they said that there were striation marks on this that matched matched Ellen's gun. So, these guys are, in my opinion, with this release, I think they're just trying to throw a little bit of confusion into the case. Because if we just continue to look at the facts, it does not look good for him at all. So let me see here. I want to go through this a little bit with you as well. My dog's just freaked out. So this is some of the things that... So this came out today. Suspect in 2017 killing of 2 Indiana teen girls has nothing to hide, the attorney said. Rest in peace, young ladies. Let's see what we've got here. Why have we got that?
Police in Delphi, Indiana, announcing they have made an arrest in the killings of 2 teenagers, Abigail Williams and Liz. Girls went missing while on a hike 2017. And one of the only pieces of evidence, at least publicly, was a final grainy video recorded by Libby of a man walking towards her. He says just 4 words, an order: guys, down the hill. Police now say that man was Richard Allen, and they've just charged him with the girls' murders. Arjun Kassar.
I really believe that they have him. Oh, it's there. Whoa. Sorry about that, guys. I don't know what the hell. Okay, so I'll come back here. So clerical error may have led police to overlook Richard Allen in the Delphi case. This is one of the biggest questions surrounding the arrest of Richard Allen, who's charged with murdering Abby Williams and Libby German in 2017. It appears to be a clerical error, maybe to blame. The investigation has been ongoing for more than 5 years, and while the police have released pieces of the evidence, including a pair of sketches, an audio recorder, and a grainy photo of killer, they did not arrest Allen until 2022 in October. So since we have learned investigators actually interviewed Richard Allen in 2017, he told them he had been on the Monon High Bridge and the Freedom Bridge between 1:30 and 3:30 on the day the girls were murdered. And this timing matches the window of which the girls died. That is basically what I'm going, his own words. They can try and switch things around now, but this is coming out of the mouth of Richard. So both an investigative source and the Murder Sheet podcast said in a 2007 interview with Allen was overlooked due to a clerical error. Someone mislabeled or misfiled a tip information in the system, which means it didn't show up in the correct location during a data search. The FBI says it's reviewed the matter, showed that FBI employees correctly followed established procedures. As the case stalled, police went back to the very beginning of the investigation. That's when they discovered the interview with Allen that prompted them to take a closer look. So a clerical error, guys, isn't that something? Isn't that something? They'll absolutely be on top of that. And that explains a lot of things to me. Indiana State Police announced his arrest on Monday, October 31st. And Fox learned about the arrest in the preceding Friday. His potential tie to the case remained under seal until November 29th, when a judge released a redacted version of the probable cause affidavit. So I do have a video on that as well in my playlist. Court documents said that an unspent round from the gun owned by Allen tied him to the murders of Abby and Libby. Investigators discovered the bullet just feet away from the girls' bodies. Allen told the police he had never let anybody use his gun, and a laboratory analysis determined that the unspent round had been cycled through Allen's gun. There we go. Based on that information and eyewitness accounts, police believe Allen is the man seen on the video taken by Libby. Police released the photo, and he's since then has been known as Bridge Guy. So we do know that Allen is still in custody, and his first bail hearing is going to be February 2023. And as we get closer to that time, I will see what they're doing then. So, hi, Dandy. Hi, Slingin'. Good to see you guys. So let's see what you guys are up to. They issued a gag order in the Delphi case. That sucks. We probably won't. So actually, it might be a little harder for the next little while, but they did give us the probable cause. So there's a lot of information in that. Another place that's really interesting to get information from is, I'm just going to close this down. A lot of this information comes from Allen himself. So it's unreal. And if you look at the Ron Logan information, you learn a lot by the warrant there, because what specific items they were looking for in that case. And they are basically the same items they were looking for at Richards. So they didn't find anything. They did a huge search on Ron Logan's property. I mean, they never totally eliminated him, but he was not their number one suspect. He was just someone that they interviewed and that they served the warrant and went through his stuff, and basically they found nothing. So they did the same thing to a few people. They have done more than one search, and a lot of people have been cleared, but they got to Richard Allen, and Richard Allen fits everything in my personal opinion. He's the right size. He was wearing the same clothing. He was missing for quite some time. People seen him go in, and a few people say they have seen him after. At one point, one woman said she's seen him walking down the highway, muddy and bloody. So there's information out there. Minimal info put in that pic. They're still holding back some stuff, I think. You don't show all your cards. 100% probable cause. Yes. So yeah. Angela, I heard he still had the Ford Focus. Hopefully they can completely dismantle it and maybe find DNA left behind. Absolutely. And even his jacket, his boots, I mean, there's a slight possibility that there still might be DNA on there. It is slight, but I mean, here's to hoping, right? I'm not sure if they took genes. I can't remember. I'll have to look again. There's a lot, that probable cause also, Yeah, the probable cause. Also told us about where the clothing of these children were found. Their clothes were found in the water, and they were found very close to the river. And, I've always wondered how he controlled those guys. I did hear that he did have that gun, but I mean, now it's confirmed in my mind that he had a gun. But I'm still wondering, do you guys think that there's somebody at the bottom of that hill? Oh, dandy. Okay. Blood cannot be completely removed. All right. That's good to know. That is really good to know. I mean, that'll be golden. And we really do not know what else they have. These lawyers do not know yet what the government has against him. They'll slowly give it to them as they have to, but they're also building their case. I do think that they believe others are involved. And I have the same belief personally. Yes, they have to be running all those tests. Right, Shauna? Absolutely. Absolutely. So it's going to be interesting. Let me know. Are you guys interested in the probable cause? Because I can go through that as well. It's just up to you guys. There's a lot of interesting information. I have gone through it before, but we could hit the highlights if you wanted to. And if you're interested in Ron Logan's information, I also have that if you're interested. So let me know what you think. I'm going to have a sip of cola. No opinions, guys? I'm really hoping you're right about that Ford Focus, Angela. Let's see here. He went to the park ranger to be a witness. He knew that the people saw him. He was playing just a regular guy. He didn't realize Libby got video. You know what? I agree with you. I totally agree with you. This is what I think has happened. I think he was trying to cover his ass. Any more? Let's see. Okay, well, I am baffled to how he puts himself there, and I know it took so long to get him. Well, if it was a paperwork error, that's major. Like, where did it end up? So it sounds like, it sounds like they screwed up. Hey, Mexi. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So I'm just going to take a quick look and see if there's anything else I think he might be interested in. There's been lots on this lately. Okay, here. So I'm not sure who all has seen this, but we will go through just the highlights of this probable cause. Like I said, there is a video in my Abby and Libby playlist. Okay, so this is the probable cause affidavit. I, the undersigned affidavit, submit the following information as sworn affidavit setting forth the facts and circumstances known to law enforcement of Carroll County. Probable cause to arrest without a warrant or established probable cause for issuance of an arrest warrant for the above named defendant. Facts and circumstances below is sufficient basis for a person of reasonable caution and prudence to believe the the accused has committed or attempted to commit the offense. That on February 14th, 2017, victim 1, so victim 1 is Abby and victim 2 is Libby, were found deceased in the woods approximately 0.2 miles northeast of the Monon High Bridge. So that is close. Their bodies were located on the north side of Deer Creek. At the time, the Monon High Bridge Trail was approximately 1 mile, a gravel trail terminating at the Monon High Bridge. The bridge is an abandoned railroad trestle, approximately 0.25 miles long, and it goes over the Deer Creek and the Deer Creek Valley on the southeast of the trail. Approximately 0.7 miles northwest on the trail from the northwestern edge of the Monon High Bridge is the Freedom Bridge, which is a pedestrian bridge that spans the State Road 25. It's approximately 350 feet west of the Freedom Bridge was a former building, railroad overpass over Old State 25, which is also known, it's mentioned many times, as County Road 300 North. The trail terminates just 20 west of the former railroad overpass. The majority of the trail is in a wooden area with a steep embankment. Now, this embankment is very deceiving in pictures because it is very, very steep. The pictures literally do not do it justice. The entirety of the trail and the location of the girls' bodies were and are located in Carroll County, Indiana. Through interviews and electronic records, a review of the Hosier Harvest Store, investigators believe victim 1 and victim 2 were dropped off across from the Myers farm at approximately 1:49. The Mears farm is located on the north side of County Road 300 North, near the entrance to the trails. So there are earlier videos that I have in my Discord, and it will give you interviews on basically all of this. And give a good description. There's maps. Discord is full of information. A video from victim 2's phone shows that at 2:13, both of them encountered a male on the southwest portion of the bridge. The male ordered the guys down the hill, and no witnesses saw this, and there was nothing outgoing on Libby's phone after this time. Their bodies were discovered on February 14th. The video recovered from victim 2's phone shows victim 1 walking southeast on the Monon High Bridge Trail, while the male, wearing a dark jacket and jeans, walked behind her. The male subject approaches the girls. One of the victims mentions gun. Near the end of the video, a male is seen and heard telling the guys down the hill. So we have not seen that. We've heard the video, like the audio to it, but none of us have seen, as far as I know. If you have this, I'd love to see it. But there is nothing, as far as I know, video of this guy's face saying guys down the hill. That would be nice to see. The girls then began to go down the hill, and that's when the video ends. A still photograph taken from the video and the guys down the hill audio was released to the public for helping the investigators identify the male. Both girls' deaths were ruled homicide. So here again, clothes were found in the Deer Creek belonging to victim 1 and victim 2. That's new information to me. I had not known that other than a shoe and a sock, I didn't know of anything else. South of their bodies, okay, this is south of where their bodies were located, was also that bullet, unspent round, less than 2 feet away from victim two's body, between victim one and victim two. The round was unspent and had extraction marks on it. So that there is golden. It's golden. Interviews were conducted with the 3 juveniles. They advised that they were on the trail that day. They advised that they were walking on the trail toward Freedom Bridge to head home, and they ran into a male walking from Freedom Bridge towards the Monon High Bridge. They said the male was kind of creepy and said that he was wearing blue jeans, really light blue jacket, and his hair was gray, maybe a little brown. He did not really show his face. She advised the jacket was a duck canvas type jacket, which is a good description of a Carhartt, right? Let's see. She advised that she said hi, and he just glared at him. She recalled him being all black and had something covering his mouth. She described him as not very tall, with a bigger build. So this here, I find interesting again. Some people are saying it's not Richard Allen, due to the description of the clothing. So if there's another guy there, I'd be looking at Tony. That's my personal opinion. He's not a big guy either, but he is broad. Same thing as Richard. She said he was not bigger than 5'10", and he was wearing a black hoodie, black jeans, and black boots. She stated his hands were in his pockets. They showed investigators photographs she took on her phone while she was on the trail that day. The photos included the Monon Bridge, taken at 12:43, and another taken at 1:26 on the bench east of the Freedom Bridge. She said she took the photo of the bench, and they started heading back towards Freedom Bridge. She said it was then that they seen the man who matched the description of the photo taken from victim two's video. She described the man she encountered on the trail as wearing blue or black windbreaker jacket. She advised the jacket had a collar and his hood was up from the clothing underneath his jacket. She said he was wearing baggy jeans and was taller than her. She advised her head came to approximately his shoulders. She said hi, and the man said nothing back. She stated he was walking with a purpose, like he knew where he was going. Just hands in his pockets and his head down. She said she did not see his face, but believed him to be a white male. The girls advised after encountering the male, they continued the walk across Freedom Bridge and Old Railroad Bridge over Old State Road 25. So isn't that interesting? So if these people if this is Bridge Guy, this is Richard Allen, what I find interesting is he must have had a target, because he let whoever this is, I'm assuming Richard, that's just me, he walked by these girls and did nothing, head down with a purpose. So this is, in my mind, this is a premeditated story. Investigators spoke with someone who said that she was on the trails February 13th. Video from Hoosier Harvestor captured a vehicle traveling eastbound at 1:46 towards the entrance across from the Mears farm. She said she saw four female kids walking on the bridge over Old State Road 25, and she was driving underneath on her way to park. She advised there was no other cars parked from the Mears farm when she parked. She advised she walked onto the Monon High Bridge and observed a male matching the one from victim two's video. She described the male she saw as a white male wearing blue jeans, a blue jean jacket. She advised he was standing on the first platform of the Monon High Bridge, approximately 50 feet from her. She said she turned around at the bridge and continued her walk. She said approximately halfway the bridge and the parking area across from Mears Farm, she passed two girls walking towards the Monon High Bridge. She said she believed the girls were victim 1 and victim 2. There's some very good witnesses here. You know, people say, how do you remember? How do you remember all this? Well, if you're in an area where two kids are brutally murdered, you are going to remember that day. It's going to be ingrained in your brain. You've already processed it over 1,000 times. Like, was that them? What was this? What did that? I believe, in my opinion, that most of them will have very, very good memory of that day because it was a horrific day. She advised she believes girls, victim 1 and 2. The video from the Hoosier Harvest Store shows at 1:49 a white car matching Redacted's vehicle traveling away from the entrance from Mears Farm. Advised she finished her walk and saw no other adults on that bridge other than that one male. Her vehicle is seen on a Hoosier Harvest Store video at 2:14, leaving westbound from the trails. She advised when she was leaving, she noted a vehicle parked in an odd manner at the Child Protective Services building. So there we go, right? She said it was not odd for vehicles to be parked there, but she noticed it was odd in manner because it was backed up near the building. So let's see here, in which he stated. Investigators received a tip in which he stated he was on his way to Delphi on State Road 25 around 2:10. On February 13th, he's seen a purple PT Cruiser or a small SUV type vehicle parked on the south side of the building and said it appeared that it was backed in to conceal the license plate. He did draw a diagram where he saw the vehicle parked, and it basically matched the area where the vehicle was parked. He said he remembered seeing a smaller, dark-colored car parked at the old building. He described it as being a possible smart car. A vehicle is seen leaving at 2:28 p.m. So that is not, that's probably the smart car. Richard says he is there till 3:30. Investigators spoke with, who stated she was traveling East 300 North on February 13th, and she seen a male walking west on north side of 300 North, away from the Monon Bridge, and she said the male subject was wearing a blue-colored jacket, blue jeans, and was muddy and bloody. So this is in the probable cause. She also stated that she thought he had gotten into a fight. Investigators were able to determine from watching a video from the Hoosier Harvest Store that she was traveling CR 300 North at approximately 3:57 p.m. And if that's the case, he was there a long time with those girls. Throughout interviews, electronic data, photographs, and videos, investigators determined that there were other people on the trail that day. Those people have been interviewed, and none of those vehicles encountered the male subject. So after that certain point where that video is shown, where Libby, she did a great job. She caught that video. They did not see those girls, and they did not see Richard after that, coming or going. So investigators reviewing prior tips encountered a tip from an officer who investigated Richard Allen in 2017. And it said Richard Allen was on the trail between 13:30 and 15:30. He parked at the old Farm Bureau building and walked to the New Freedom Bridge. While at the bridge, he saw 3 females. He noted one was taller and had brown or black hair. He did not remember description, nor did he speak with them. He walked from the Freedom Bridge to the High Bridge. He is admitting all of this stuff. He did not see anybody, although he stated he was watching a stock ticker, which we found out has something to do with the stock market. So he said he was on his phone as he walked. He stated that there were vehicles parked at the High Bridge Trail ahead. However, he did not pay attention to them. He did not take any video or photos. His cell did not list IMEI, but did have the following potential follow-up where the girls were walking. I don't quite understand this little bit here, so I'll just leave it. Investigators believed that Allen was referring to the former Child Protective Services when he sang the Farm Bureau building, because a Farm Bureau building has never been there. So they believed that the females included redacted and redacted due to the time they were leaving the trail and the time he reported getting to the trail. So it does sound like those kids did see him. He's admitting it. Investigators discovered Richard owned 2 vehicles in 2017, a 2016 black Ford Focus and a 2006 gray Ford 500. Investigators observed a vehicle that resembled Ellen's on the Hoosier Harvester video at 1:27 p.m., traveling westbound on CR 300 North in front of the Hoosier Harvester, which coincided with a statement he said that he arrived around 1:30. So at the former Child Protective Service building, some said it looked like an SUV, some said it looked like a PT Cruiser, some said it was a smart car. And I don't know. Police are saying that those descriptions are similar in nature to a Ford Focus 2016. Don't know. So Richard Allen was interviewed again by investigators. He advised he was on the trails February 13th, 2017. He stated he saw juvenile girls on the trails. Richard Allen further said he went to the Monon High Bridge to watch the fish. So you guys have seen, I'm sure, if not, maybe I'll look at some later. That bridge, how would you see a fish if there was even fish running at that time? Well, I'm sure they were, but I don't know what he's talking about watching the fish. It makes no sense to me. So then he's saying that he walked to the first platform, watched the fish, and then he said he walked back to the bench on the trail. He said that he parked his car on the side of the old building and told investigators he was wearing blue jeans and a blue or black Carhartt jacket with a hood. So he has been described by multiple people. He advised he may be wearing some type of head covering as well. And by the video, it looks like it. He told investigators that he owns firearms and they are at his home. Richard Allen's wife, Kathy, also spoke to the investigators. She also confirmed that Richard did have guns, knives at the residence. She also said that Richard still owns a blue Carhartt jacket. So on October 13th, 2022, investigators executed a search warrant at his residence. And among the items included a jacket, boots, knives, firearms, including the exact model and caliber of the gun that was used with the girls and matching striation marks. Between October 14th, 2022 and October 19th, 2022, the Indiana State Police Laboratory performed an analysis on Ellen's gun. The laboratory performed a physical examination, classification of the firearm, function test, barrel, and overall length, measuring and test firing ammunition component, characterization, microscopic comparison, and NIBIN, can't remember what that stands for. The laboratory determined that the unspent round located 2 feet from the victim's body had been cycled through Richard M. Allen's gun. An identification opinion is reached when the evidence exhibits an extreme class characteristics and sufficient agreement of individual marks. Sufficient agreement is related to the significant duplication of random striated impressed marks, and as evidenced by the correspondence of a pattern or combination of patterns of surface contours. The interpretation and identification is subjective in nature based on relevant scientific research and the reporting examiner's training experience. Well, they got him. Investigators ran the firearm and found that the firearm was purchased by Richard in 2001. And they are saying that he voluntarily went to the cop shop on October 26th. He spoke with the investigators and stated that he never allowed anyone to ever borrow his gun. He was the only one that ever used it. When asked about the unspent bullet, he said he had basically no explanation as to why that bullet would be found between the two victims. He again admitted that he was on the trail, but denied knowing the victims 1 and 2. So throughout statements and photos of the juveniles and state of redacted and redacted, we're at the Southeast Trail at 243, east of Freedom Bridge at 126, and walked across the former railroad overpass over Old State 25 and 126 at 1:26 p.m. and before 1:46 p.m. They walked the entire trail and observed only one person, an adult male, whose vehicle is seen on the Hoosier Harvester video at 1:46 and leaving at 2:14. She stated she only saw one male. She described the male in a similar manner, wearing the same clothing, and do believe it's the same victim. So there is a lot to this. I think they've got a lot more. Male subject matching Richard Allen's description was not seen on the trail after 2:13 p.m. Investigators identified the individuals on the trail or CR 300 North between 2:30 and 4:11. None of those people saw the male subject that they had seen earlier. And as we know, the description does match Richard Allen, and he admits being there. Investigators believe Richard Allen was not seen on the trail after 2:13 because he was in the woods with victim 1 and victim 2. An unspent 40-round caliber round between the bodies was forensically determined to have been cycled through his gun. So it was found at his home. He admitted owning it and admitted nobody used it. Allen stated that he had not been on that property where the unspent round was found and that he did not know the property owner. So he's saying that he has never been down in that area before, and that he had no explanation why the round cycled through his gun would be at that location. Furthermore, he stated he never allowed anyone to borrow that gun. Investigators believe that after the victims were murdered, Richard Allen returned to his vehicle by walking down CR 300 North. Investigators believe he was seen walking back to his vehicle on CR 300 North with clothes that were muddy and bloody. Investigators believe the statements made by the witnesses, because of their statements, corroborate the timeline of death of the two victims, as well as coincide with admissions made by Richard Allen himself. Further, the accounts related by redacted and redacted are similar in nature, and timestamps and photographs taken by blank corresponded with the times the juvenile females said they saw the individual. So that's that. So there's a couple sides to that, right? How are you guys doing? What are you thinking? Let's see here. You guys have been chit-chatty. That's awesome. I agree with you. Why wouldn't he clean himself up in the creek? I would think he probably did, but that would, I don't think he would get very clean after slooshing around in that particular waterway. It doesn't look very clean. Yeah, I just can't believe he threw his clothes out there, their clothes out there. He's not particularly bright. Agreed, Slingen. Seems he thought he just fell through the cracks. And right? He just was not worried. He was, in my mind, he was brazen, very brazen. Exactly, James. Watch the fish from 100 feet up in the air. That's what he was doing. That's what he totally went to go stand on the Monan High Bridge and watch fish jump from that dirty little creek from 100 feet above. You know, Shauna, I agree. I probably would have done the same. I really would have. Like, what the hell? Can't get in my vehicle. Do you want me to call somebody? Must be some big fish. Yeah, I heard it's good marlin fishing in there if you can't make it to Mexico. Absolutely. Cat fishing. That's what he was doing. He was cat fishing. So it's kind of interesting to look at kind of both sides right now, in my mind. We'll have to at some point go through Ron Logan's. I wonder how often they used gun. What if he still has the same ammo he had back then? He doesn't throw stuff away. That would really help show it was him. I totally agree with you. I totally agree with you, Angela. You know, and he does seem like a saver. Like, why would he keep the same jacket? Why wouldn't he keep this? Why would he keep all that stuff there? Are they his trophies? Mexi gave me the idea to watch the helicopter footage. I did. I did not see fish from that bridge unless they were sharks. Exactly. And now, isn't that a great video? I recommend everybody watch that helicopter footage. It takes you literally from Monon Bridge straight to Richard's house. And what I found interesting is you can basically do the whole trip without being seen. There's trees. You just have to maneuver a bit through them, but all the way to his house from Deer Creek and the Monon Bridge. My curiosity wouldn't allow me to see blood and mud on someone and just let them walk away. Right? Yeah. Yeah. Maybe, I don't know, maybe he was looking a little crazy. But yeah, I think I'm the same as you. I think he was just being a smartass when he said he was watching the fish. Yeah. You know, and he's not really in the position. Mexi witnesses also added that it looked like the person might have been in a fight. So possible face injuries. Absolutely. I hope those girls scratched the living shit out of him. You know, there is a possibility, you know. So being that the clothes were in the water, I'm trying to figure out that in my mind, because I don't think they were SA'd. Not that I know of. So, yeah, I don't know. Wouldn't his friends or family be like, what happened to your face? I don't know. Yeah, right? Exactly. Right, Dandy? I would have stopped and asked him or called LE. Yeah, right, Shauna? I agree. I agree. So I got to ask, when did the witness actually report the sighting? I know, that is the thing. Did she report it right away? Did she report it as soon as the news came out? How long did she wait? That's going to make a difference. Angela, it's a good thing Lady didn't try asking him any questions. He just unalived 2 kids. He also had loaded handgun. Oh, well, that's well said too, Angela, right? I'm at around 3:30. A lot of people saw him. I don't want to crack on LE, but this should have been solved a long time ago. Yeah, right? I do like those cops there, but how this was missed, oh my God, not good. It is, James. Like, it's amazing that they did not get to him. I'd like to know where that paperwork ended up and why it was so easy to miss. Mexi, I'm wondering when this witnesses, that reported the actual sighting to the police. Yes. Isn't the state or Fed supposed to know who was registered firearms and what kind they are? I'm not sure. Canada, we don't have guns. We're not allowed them. So I am not sure how it works. And I'm not sure, is it state to state, all these regulations? Mexi, yes, James. That's why these questions are so important. When did RA come forward? When were those witnesses' statements taken? How long have they had the Hoosier harvester footage? Right? Hey, Connor. He's a knucklehead. Appears to be dumb luck that he was never caught for almost 6 years. Yeah, I agree with you because everything sadly points to this guy. And it does look like they had the information in their files somewhere. Mexi. And if they hadn't heard it from the freaking start, why the fudgesicles didn't they track down those freaking cars sooner? You see? Absolutely. It was all there. It was all there. That one piece of the puzzle, they didn't have it. It was hidden in some other file in the cop shop. I think they have Bridge Guy. Not sure about the evidence, though. I agree with you. I agree with you 100%, James. Can you imagine a town of 3,000 people? They would have found that Ford Focus in days. Yeah. When was the Ford Focus mentioned? You're funny, Connor. This case revolves around fish. I was thinking that the removal of the clothes could have happened while traveling from north to south on Ron Logan's property, and this could have been a form of control. Yeah, right? You okay, Shauna? Uh-oh. We have to remember that Carroll County never had anything like this before, never had a homicide before. Exactly. It's good that they brought in all the other entities and all the other resources because they need them. It's the same thing that's going on with those kids that are unalived in Moscow, Idaho. There's not much for cameras there, small town. It's not like the big cities. So yeah, I think their last homicide in that town was something like 7 years ago. So it's the same kind of idea. Small town, possibly right in front of their faces and not seeing it. I hope Shauna's okay. Jeez. So guys, I think that's where we are at. We got a little bit of information out of both, something to ponder, right? Let's see here. Yeah, he was. Yeah. I think the Golden Gate Killer was through familial DNA. And they basically followed his family tree down and it came down to one person. And then he was like the perfect match. Oh, thank God, Shauna. It was like, oh no. Where's Shauna? So that's what I've got for now. I might do another video and just go through even Ron Logan's. Being that there is so much information that it does pertain to this case, you learn a lot about what they were looking for, where they were looking for it, who they thought may have done something. It gives you a really good, it's another view, right? So guys, thanks very much for joining me. I appreciate you more than you know. I will probably be putting out another video in the next while and possibly another live depending on what we find out about Monkey and if anything comes out with the Idaho 4 students, which is also extremely horrific. So guys, thanks again. I appreciate you and see you in the next one. Bye.